So good afternoon. So I just give you a quick overview of something that we all kind of doubt whether Hong Kong really has the so-called startup ecosystem. So I kind of try to give some data point and maybe that will help us to realize what we have achieved so far for Hong Kong. This article actually had been published a couple of months ago, and basically this South China Morning Post, all these gentlemen, ladies, if you are a startup, I think it should be a very familiar faces. So basically, I don't think in the past we have been doing a lot of so-called startup program, but only this year we really seeing the whole momentum. Even a lot of the mainstream posts, like South China Morning Post, this kind of so-called media, kind of getting a lot of startup story. Even Apple Daily, they also try to project a lot of this successful story. Telling different perspective of different entrepreneurs. You may heard about 9get, all this great success. So this actually gives us a kind of checking that yes, Hong Kong is starting to have this kind of entrepreneur, homegrown. Some of them, and quite a number of them are actually being attracted to use Hong Kong as a base from overseas, and then to start their own startup journey. So we always, when we talk about startup, we always compare ourselves to Silicon Valley. So what's the secret sauce? Is there a silver bullet? What's the formula? So if you are doing startup, you may want to go to this website. There's a great article talk about how different city when they do startup, and then they give a reference point as compared to Silicon Valley. So I think I kind of extract a couple of main points which kind of give us some of the thinking we may need to be prepared. I think one important thing is that Silicon Valley actually has a very good ecosystem that a lot of so-called entrepreneurs they really has been done a lot. And also another key thing is don't think startup is easy. They all work very, very hard, okay? So if you haven't started the startup journey, you think it's an easy job, so don't enter to it, okay? So go to a big corporation, work for people rather than you do your own startup. The startup journey is very tough, okay? So I think this is a very key message. A lot of people think that, oh, California, definitely a lot of people are enjoying, No, they work very, very hard. Okay, so this is another key point. I think we always, a lot of youngsters thought that, oh, Facebook founder, Google founder, they must have a good time. No, they may have a good time afterwards, but before they are successful, they work really, really hard. Okay, so this is another key point. When I talk with a lot of students and a lot of so-called people who want to do the startup journey, I really asking them, are they prepared? Okay. Another key point I think is they are a lot easier to raise the funding. That's very key part because when you do startup, you may need other people to support you. So this is also very important. Yeah, I don't want to bore you with this, but I think that's a very good literature, and I really enjoy reading this when we compare Silicon Valley to a lot of startup so-called city, Singapore, Hong Kong. They even compare to Israel, all different places. Okay, so it's good one. Okay, so when we talk about the startup, the whole ecosystem, when we see a lot of building blocks, So Hong Kong is actually we tried to do it in the past, I think 10, 15 years. We have built Science Park, Cyberport, this is like the infrastructure stuff. But again, the funding sources we also has been forming different funding from the government to help the startup, and in different stages. And I will show you more about what we have been doing, and in particular on the so-called seed funding aspect. Okay, when we do the startup, a lot of people are still very much focusing on incubation. When you talk about startup, they will think about, okay, incubation. Okay, that's equal to incubation. When we look at startup, it's more than that. Okay, incubation is you already form your company. So how about if you just have an idea? In my early days, when I come out of college, actually I have a lot of dreams. Okay, but a lot of baggages as well. Okay, so because that is a very classic example, shall I work for a big corporation or shall I do my own startup? Okay, so these are a lot of tricky questions. A lot of youngsters who wants to kind of fulfill their dreams. So when we think about this, Cyberport actually, a couple of years ago, we started this so-called microfinancing program. The inspiration is actually from a Nobel laureate, Mohammed. Basically, he has been doing a lot of great works for microfinancing. So we thought that maybe Hong Kong needs something, microfinance. Okay, so but we are giving people money in grants, not loan. So we have been doing this, and our scale is we are stepping up the number. This year alone, we are dishing out 40 grants for this year, just alone. And we prepare to step it up to 60, 80, or even 100 of them. So every grantee will get 100,000 free money, to do your own startup. So I think this is a very easy way. So if you only have 2 pieces of paper and have a couple of people, 1 or 2 maybe, try to get this so-called free money, and then you can kickstart your project before you may enter a lot of incubation. So this program, I think we are also very compatible with a lot of so-called co-working space in Hong Kong. As you understand, there are numbers of co-working space kind of grooming up in Hong Kong, but still you need resources, money after all. Okay, so this is very good for you. And you can start to buy some equipment, and then you can hire a couple of designer or developer for you, and then kickstart your project. And this project, we also prepare to work with a lot of different corporations, as well as university. So this program will continue to evolve and will step up. And as well as we're going to attract the mainland students as well to form teams. So this program, we have been working very closely with Guangdong University as well as Shenzhen University. So this program, I think, has a lot of meaning for us. And I'm we are very prepared to scale it up. The other program, I think, is kind of a cornerstone incubation program. We have it. Science Park have it. So we give free office space, and then also some funding for you to go for marketing, hiring people, legal advice, etc., etc. And as we grow this program, I think we have a couple of success. In particular this year, a number of our incubatees startup companies who are actually successful to raise funding, not just from Hong Kong. They are also very successful raising money in Silicon Valley. So we are very glad that, just this year alone, we are almost raised around 20 million in Hong Kong. So you can say, oh, 20 million is not a lot of money, but I can tell you, this actually is our very successful year, and this momentum I think will continue. In last year we got some sign. We got a couple of guys also raised a couple of million, but this year I think just this couple of months, we see a lot of good sign, good turnout, and a lot of interest from the investor community to look at Hong Kong founded company. Okay, so this is all for you, and we will continue this journey to tap into a lot of Silicon Valley VC as well as angel. Okay, so Entrepreneurship Center is upstairs on the 5th floor. If you haven't got a chance to look at it, after the event, please go upstairs on the 5th floor. We're actually hosting a hackathon today. So if you haven't been to our Entrepreneurship Center, so be it. Go to take a look, and I think you will like it. It's a very, very, I would say startup-friendly environment. And what's the big thing? Since you are doing a lot of tech innovation stuff, if you haven't got a clue, this is all the pointer. Cloud computing, social business, mobile, everything. This is actually talk about next 10 years. So this slide I also borrow it. You can Google it. Basically what's the technology trend evolving. So you haven't got an idea, this will be a good sign, and you will get in the big wave. Another good movement is everything is free. Software, hardware is kind of open. You no longer need to license a lot of software. You can get it, basically copy it, download it online. Even as complicated as a lot of programming tools, cloud computing, software, etc., etc. All these are kind of free. So I think this also happening very fast to the tech community. If you if you try to build everything by yourself, I think this is a lot of waste of time. So today, you basically can tap into a lot of so-called cloud computing resources, and you basically no need to worry about the hardware no longer. So a lot of, you're just focusing on solving the so-called business issue or consumer issue. So you can have a very good, business. And you can save a lot of so-called human capital by just focusing on developing what you're good at. Okay, so let's give you a couple of examples. This is related to noise collection. Environmental, since you guys are also very, a crossover, tech and social. This has been put on the, noise sensor all around Hong Kong, and then using the cloud computing as a backend, you can do a lot of statistics, and then even charge, some people, if their noise level over a certain limit. Okay, so this is a good use of technology. Another good thing is, building management, for energy saving, for asset management. This also will help a lot of, as you understand, the environmental, a lot of building today are consuming a lot of electricity. So this is another good use of, technology, as well as the integrate the management. So this also will have a significant impact for Hong Kong. Because there's an energy audit, I think the regulation just come out. So a lot of building in Hong Kong, high-rise building, need a very intelligent measurement. Okay, this is another things that maybe you guys have a better idea how to tackle this issue. Another will be related to the geographic information. And as you understand, China is also developing this. So Hong Kong, actually the map, Google Map, which Kim just mentioned, actually China is also developing this map and also GPS systems. So if you guys are interested into enter to China market, you can look for this Tinditu, this company, and you can get a lot of geographic information within China. Okay, so pick and pull. So you guys are using it, right? So I'm not talk too much about this. And Event Extra, that's a new name, right? So anyway, this is a good example of how you leverage on the backend, the cloud resources to, very significantly to get the interaction from the audience. So another good example of the, the next generation of applications. Okay, so to wrap up. We're Hong Kong, we are very proud of. We have a lot of good winners, as well as, we are actually listed in a lot of overseas magazines as well. One of these is Forbes, and they also look after us very carefully. Every month almost have an article to talk about the Hong Kong tech ecosystem, co-working space. So if you look after this editor, he's always tweet about Hong Kong. So anyway, this is I think it's good because a lot of eyeballs is actually look at Hong Kong. They want to leverage on Hong Kong resources to do their own startup. Thank you. So.
Thank you, David. Okay, then next introduce our next speaker, Dr. Ernest No. He is the founder, director, and chief representative of CTTC-HK Limited. Thank you. Let's give him a big hand.
Okay, so it's my pleasure to do a sharing here. CTTC-HK actually is headquartered in Europe, and so definitely Hong Kong is a very interesting place, and that's why we have a branch here. And today, well, I guess first of all, a little bit of introduction of our company. We are doing R&D, especially on telecommunications. Then today's topic is breaking tech transfer gridlock with social innovations. So tech transfer is, I guess, is an open problem. And how an R&D company handles this situation? So definitely social innovations is a way. So to break the gridlock, first of all, you need to know the destination, right? And then you need to choose a route with light traffic. So definitely, how can we know our destination? And today we are talking about social innovations. Then what is social? And I guess for social innovations, well, this is basically, we have some personal factors. What I mean personal matters is not only persons, but legal persons as well. That is, for example, corporate. And also, of course, we need to take a look at the policy. If we know the human needs, and if we know that policy is facilitating this, then very likely we will know the destination, and then we will be able to approach that with great success. So for social innovations, it is easier said than done. People are talking about, well, many things and social apps, but what is that? If you're an entrepreneur, how can you do it in a systematic way? How can you come up with some ideas in a systematic way? So this model, I guess many of you have known this already, is Maslow's model. Very, I guess, well, basically, we understand this. For example, the bottom layer is the physiological needs, as for example, food and stuff. And the higher layers, such as, for example, in Hong Kong, it is a developed city. Then people are looking at some higher layer stuff, for example, love and belonging, and that's why Facebook is having great success. And also some self-actualization stuff. So each layer has their own market. It's up to you how you're going to tackle the problems there. So I guess to be an entrepreneur, first of all, you need to fix your target sector or segment, market segment. Okay. So we're an R&D company, and just now David has mentioned some applications on IoT. I don't know whether you have realized that. So IoT is Internet of Things. It is a buzzword recently, and many places in the world have been talking about that. So for IoT, we know that the policy is supporting that from the China 5-year plan, and also from US and Europe, and well, basically everywhere. But IoT looks cool. For example, our company, we're working on technology. There's some cool stuff. We think that it is cool as an engineer. We have, well, such an advanced module like from UC Berkeley, and we have a low power wireless technology which is consuming 1% transmit power of Wi-Fi technology. It is cool to us as an engineer. But how is it related to the society? I guess, well, for investors, definitely they will not be interested in this technical stuff. So, well, for example, our company, we have an advanced IoT system. How are we going to approach this problem? First of all, we need to pick some application, and before that, we need to pick some layer in the Maslow's model. And okay, we have come up with a smart planting system where where people can easily have access to the data of how your plant is growing, if it's growing well, or well, basically all those stuff. They feel like it is sexy. Well, you have the iPad, you have the smartphone with easy access, with cloud computing, but so what? What are the users? Again, we are missing something. So we need to go back to the Maslow's model and to see which layer we want to target at. Okay, so here is a case study. Well, our company is doing that. Well, indeed, for such a smart planting system, we can approach different market layers. So, for example, for kids, okay. So right now, parents are talking about, well, smartphones, tablets, no good. They don't want kids to use that because it is not. But there are many studies that by using more iPads or smartphones, then the kids will be less clever, I should say. So okay. So how are we going to tackle that? We use an IoT system, we do the smart planning system, and then we come up with a program that enables kids to do some interesting real situation stuff. For example, tracking the health status of the cow, or then of the plant. And then we also come up with some educational program to help the kids to enjoy the platform. And you know what? For kids, the market is huge. If you can tell the parents that this application can help their kids to develop their, for example, to make them cleverer, then they will buy it. So this is one example. Okay, how about the other layers? Well, these days, people in the cities are very busy, right? Parents don't have time to spend, don't have time to spend with their kids, not to mention the elderly. And people are not living together, not like the traditional Chinese society. So with this platform, again, we create a platform for the families to get together, to have some common conversation, common topic to talk about. And well, interestingly, well, we have pushed this application to some organizations in Hong Kong, and the feedback is really good. Okay, how about other layers? For example, bottom layers, we need to take care of hunger. For example, in some developing countries, they need to increase the crop. So this technology again can be deployed at farms. So we have a term called precision agriculture, and basically the underlying technology is also this smart planting system. Again, we are talking with some farms. We are collaborating with some farms from China and also in Australia. So this can definitely tackle the bottom line. But at the same time, right now in Hong Kong, people are talking about, for example, organic farming and also rooftop gardening. Then again, this system can be deployed there. So by using a smart planting system, I have demonstrated that by tackling different layers of the Maslow's model, the same application can find different markets, and each of them can be huge depending on which area in the world you are targeting at. Okay, so social innovations, well, it is very important. It is not easy to generate. Well, people know Facebook, know Google, but well, I guess in order to have a more systematic way to come up with some really great innovations, you need some guidelines. For example, I encourage you to pay attention to some initiatives of some big companies. For example, IBM, they have a smart city initiative, and these 9 areas are what they are really looking at. Each area, again, you can identify different layers of the Maslow's model so as to identify your own market. So I really encourage you to pay attention to that, because smart city is a huge project in the world in the coming, I guess, 5 years to get together with the IoT, the Internet of Things applications. So not only IBM, but also Samsung and other companies. So I encourage you to take a look at that. Okay, so finally, some background information of our company. We are headquartered in Barcelona, and we are doing R&D consulting and also customizing solutions. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, Ernest. May I introduce our next speaker? He is the CEO and co-founder of Leovation. Let's welcome Mr. Andrew Pang.
Thank you. Everybody can see. The view is very bad. Anyway, good morning. Today is basically, I'm just going back in time. I started this company about 2004, and some of the promotions for E2 is about, there's a section for CGL Spectacular. It's basically, that's my creation about close to about 9 years ago. So I will talk about the social part of this particular installations, and also tell you a bit my belief in social plus entrepreneurship, where our company is going. So our company is called Leovation. Today we do a lot of things in the retail and branded space, but because we had to chase our top line, because if we don't have money, we cannot feed our staff. So we have about 70 staff right now. So we do a lot of things in the interactive space. And so today, we're going to talk about playfulness, talk about social, and also profitable. Again, these are the core focus of my company, because if anything that we create is not playful, I'd probably throw it out. Throw it out. And if the thing doesn't have a social impact, it's the same thing. And also, we have to be very profitable. So, we started a very, very focused, one company, one brand, one product, one brand, and everything is one. So PlayMotion was a brand, it's a company name, and it's a product name close to about 9 years ago. The reason for that is a brand strategy, and also PlayMotion is, the name is really cool, so I use it as a company name rather than a product name. This is how it looked like when I created PlayMotion close to 9 years ago. So you can see it. Back then, we don't have a laptop, like a lot of startups today. We created things from scrap. There's a aluminum frame. The whole thing is made out of projections, infrared, high-speed camera, and an XTC computer behind there. It's around this big. So I take this everywhere to show demo. It's quite difficult. Eventually, get it down to a laptop size, but back then, this is the first product that we sold, and we can sell a lot of it, because you can see it doesn't look good. So, but the thing is, for permanent installations at Ocean Park, that really took off. We ousted the German company, we ousted French company, we ousted U.S. company. I created a demonstrations in less than 3 days after the tender came out. So in 3 days, a Hong Kong company whipped this up. Tom Ernest, the CEO of Ocean Park, came up and looked at this, and the whole team and exec came up and saw to Hong Kong, to my office, where I was in Taiwan with 2 people. So they bought the whole system. I was really happy with this. So the thing is, we start off a very, very large human-scale interactive system. Our vision is to connect people and play. Now this is an Orlando installation, 250 people play together. Well, it's like, what does it got to do with social and things like that? With 250 people playing together, they're communicating. Nowadays, with a lot of technologies, people communicate less. But this particular installation was done over 6 years ago. It's connected 250 people playing while they're waiting for a ride. Okay, and all the content we work with Disney Imagineering is all about social. It's about using the gesture, using body to create the landscape of the world. And imagine you're working with Disney Imagineering. They're very, very creative. So basically, you see a little pod on the screen using your shadow. You put your hand in front of it like this, and the seed, the plant is like a blossom. You start creating your little, lollipops of trees, little grass and everything. So basically, we are teaching kids as well. Sorry.
Was this a stage photo or is this spontaneous?
What's this? I got to see it from your point of view. What is this?
I mean, did you have all these people as actors, or was this just spontaneously?
Oh, these are actors, but actually because it's really, really hard to take a good photo in Disney. Okay, so these are actors, but in actual fact, if you look at the video from YouTube, these are, I think, people are going left, right, and center. So. 250 people does play at the same time, but they have posing for video. So again, these are live shots, and using shadow to connect the space to basically fly around Baltimore in this particular installations. Of course, we're connecting kids, and we learn from kids to make us a better company. So basically, we're working with a lot of kids and community kids. Back then, we talked about 7, 8 years ago, phone is not that everywhere, so but still, kids doesn't talk to parents too many, as well as, in Hong Kong especially, kids are slammed in a closed door, work and play your piano, do your violins, do your homework, go to school, go to extracurriculum, but make sure you learn something from it. But never kids are parents and having fun together. So I'm trying to change that socially. So play is connected to each other, So for me, play is very important. Play makes us happy. Play is an antidote to loneliness, isolation, anxiety, and depressions. So basically, I use a lot of these ingredients. Also, play can heal emotional wound. We worked at the Hong Kong University as well to do a 1.5-year study for pain distraction therapy using this system. The results are tremendous. We work with sick kids, especially kids going to chemotherapy before and after. So we're using this technology to really, really reduce their pain and anxiety when they do a chemotherapy. We encourage kids to play together, empower them in front of a giant screen attacking aliens. Okay, it's not pretty violence, because these are aliens anyway, so we can destroy them. You don't see blood anyway. So basically, they are steering the world, but they have to work in unison. Okay, it's like back then there's no we, there's no connect, there's no nothing. Okay, so we have to work with what we have, and it's what we call computer vision. So remember, these are like 7, 8 years ago. And this is how we teach kids about patience. Today, kids has no patience. So we put a bunch of kids, I told the parents, I can control all these kids. There was about 20, 25 of these kids running around, All the parents do is like, shut up, stand still, sit still, listen to Uncle Andrew, just, the parents is worse than the kids, okay? So I told the kids, you want to make trees? You stand in front of these, and the trees start popping up. So, they stand in front of it, and the trees start growing, and they move. And they go, oh, where's my tree? I said, because you moved. So you stop growing. So the kids would stand still for 5 minutes. So so doing good. So we talk about the playful part. So doing good at Leovation is we teach kids about adding values, adding their love into the world. We create titles. We start off this particular installation is everything's black and white. And the little cartoon in the screen is rather sad. So basically, this is what we call the healing hands. This particular title is. So basically, the kids just stand in front of these people and use their hand across their face, and the face will change to it will brighten up, the smile, and then we add color into their life. So basically, it's a psychological approach to helping kids to come in contact with people that are sad. We're working with wheelchair banks, and for this particular installations is we sponsor all the units. We work with, because this is the 10th anniversary of wheelchair bank. For the past 9 years, the healthy kids are playing, not the sick kids. These are neuromuscular kids, diseases kids, and they play with their shadow basically. So we empower them to extend their limb. And this one worked with social rehab and crime preventions to talk about bullying and the abuse of drugs using our thing, because you put fun into a training, kids just go nuts. We have this helping mental disabled children at Pine Hill. And of course these are for, this is at Calvin Hospital, they're still running there. It's for physical therapy. And what else? Doing well. This is my business model canvas. So you can see I work with a lot of brands, and we do a lot of things, and of course we have somehow we started one product, and then all of a sudden you look at the left hand side, all the people start looking at me as a good system integrators, performers, and basically I just helping products, technologies to create a value within our ecosystem to provide product and service for brand. And then, of course, all the brand came to me. And then there's more brand from China. and all the cartoons, all the networks, all the Hello Kitty Marvels asking us to create products to bind the physical space as well as the digital space together. So we're doing very well today. And that's it. Thank you. Any questions? No. Okay.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, our next speaker is Mr. Felix Lam. He's the Manager Director of Web Chapel Advisors. Okay, let's give him a big hand again.
So, good afternoon everyone. I'm Felix. So thank you for having me here. I'm new to social entrepreneurship, but I'm glad to share and kind of learn a bit more from you guys about social entrepreneurship as well. So today I'm just going to keep it short. A bit about myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also an investor in startup and early stage tech companies. I was a programmer in TMT space, and I work as a factory sometimes now. And the last item I lived with my daughter to judge. Okay, so when I was asked to talk about tech versus social, I thought, so what was the moment that was closest to it? Then I thought about this story about car washing. It's a nice, simple story, not dramatic, but I think it's close as that. So what happened in my neighborhood, we've got these people washing cars, and we've got this scrap piece of paper stuck underneath our windscreen wiper saying that you need the car to be washed. And I said, okay, I saw that paper and I said, okay, I'll do it. Then I called a guy. Let's call him Mr. OK for now. And I said, do you clean cars? He said, okay. So I asked him a couple of questions. He keeps saying, okay. So I thought, okay, great. So just do it. Okay. And then a few days later, I realized that the car wasn't washed. So I called him again and I said, so what's happening? Is there something wrong? We started getting into a conversation. And I started to realize that it was actually very hard to understand him. Could be dialect, could be the Cantonese, could be a mixture of different things. So, and I thought, all right, so why don't I just send you first of all I asked him, do you know SMS, short message? And he said no. So I said, look, let me do this. I'll put things into a short message, I'll send it to you. And when you hear the phone beep, just open it, just take a look. So I spent some time, I try and mock up a little short message template saying my name, my phone number, my number plate. Now the problem with my number plate is it's one of those customized ones, so lots of alphabets. It's very hard to read. So I put that down. I tell him how many times I want my car get cleaned every week, so to speak. So and I send that, and then so I waited a few days. I went to my car. Immaculate job. It was so clean, so neat, and so tidy. So I called him back and I said, well, thank you, Mr. OK, and so how do I pay you? Why do I pay you? Give me your account number, I'll pay you, and then every time I pay you, and I'll call you. And he said, okay, so let's do that. So because of that, okay, because of the bank account transfer, we started into a bit of a conversation every now and then. I started to learn more about him. He's actually from China, in his 50s. And he had a bad car accident a while back, and he lost some of his working abilities, in particular his vocal. And that's why it's very hard for me to understand him. Okay, good, so I thought I did something good. I was really happy. And then the other day I was in the elevator with my neighbor as well. And we got into the topic of car washing. And he put his phone out and said, look at this SMS. This car was incredible. The car was so clean, the information was so clear, the service was great. And I saw the number of that, the actual sender of the SMS, of course, it's Mr. OK. I was glad. So I called him back and said, did you know, I called him back about this and told him about that. And he said, yeah, thank you, Mr. Lam. And actually, as a matter of fact, I've been sharing this methodology with people that I know in the rehab center. They all have a problem trying to find work, especially in the car washing space. So I think, wow, great. I didn't realize a little SMS can have such a big impact in this little community. So tell me later whether that's you classify tech versus social kind of encounter. But to reflect upon that, and reflect upon some of the experience that I had working with entrepreneurs. A couple of easy takeaways I'm sure you know about this concept, but I just want to re-emphasize that in social entrepreneurship. Listen and respect. I think every day we listen to so many new ideas, especially for myself. I see so many startups. Sometimes don't appeal to me, but then especially in the area of social entrepreneurship, I realize that I need to give them some time. There's a purpose to every idea. So we should give them more patience, respect the idea, and understand it more. Because a lot of time we talk about incubation, nurturing new idea, that's what we need to do. And because our community is still so young, and we're still growing, we need to always help and always share. And you'll be amazed at what's going to happen at the end of the day. You don't know, but you'll be amazed. And the power pool. I've learned that from a professor at the Media Lab at MIT, and then I was intrigued because basically what he was saying is that information is now everywhere, so you can basically pull it everywhere, anytime, anywhere you like it. So there's no point pushing values to people, but in fact focus on it because the power pool, just like gravity, that's how it works on the Earth. And probably lastly, I think find moments of joy. We all know as entrepreneurs it's tough work. You know, we emphasize on how hard we work every day, and we went through that emotional up and down every day. But we deserve fun. And in the area of entrepreneurship, I think I'm jealous because while you're building your business, and every step you make is actually fulfilling your passion and making the world a better place to live in. So for that, I think you will get the moments of joy pretty often. So it's all about ecosystem. Let's build and grow together. And looking forward to hearing more from you later on today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Felix. May I introduce our next guest? He's the head of CSCC and also the co-curator of the TED Hong Kong. May I introduce Johnny to come to the stage?
Woo, yeah!
That's Gino. He's the actual license holder for TEDx Hong Kong. Thanks, guys. Great to meet you. Great to see you here. Thank you for the opportunity. This is my favorite picture of a a tech time social guy. That might be interesting. I just wanted to share a few thoughts today. 10 minutes isn't a lot of time, and I know there are a lot more interesting speakers and a lot more interesting companies that you'll be able to meet and see today. What do I mean by this? It's almost like Big Brother's your friend, right? So this is what I do. This is what I've done. This is what's interesting. Okay? And you notice there are some themes here. There's a lot of things. There's a lot on learning and education, and there's a market reason for it. It's not because I particularly like teaching. Well, I love sharing ideas. But why don't we go ahead and move forward? How many of you guys have actually been to one of these boot camps or these training camps where they teach you or supposedly teach you how to pitch to a venture capitalist? Right? How many have heard, how many of you have had friends that have gone, or how many of you have had amateurs tell you what you're supposed to do who've never raised any money? Right? Isn't this textbook generic question, what problem are you solving? Right? If you go to the website, same question. Now, it's not a dumb question, right? But it's the same question, right? So one of the things that's been kind of spinning in my head I haven't been able to figure out completely is when we talk about E squared or social times technology or all this stuff, how are we approaching it? Are we approaching it this way? Are we thinking of two separate, distinct, isolated ideas and concepts and trying to push them together or multiply them together? Or are we actually thinking of it maybe a little bit more holistically and understanding that technology, whatever that means, and it's not just IT chips and things like that. Okay, Hong Kong has unbelievably top end, okay, world-beating technology, and it's called trading chickens in a wet market. This is the fastest, most efficient market on the face of the earth. Hong Kong has the 3 freedoms that make it world-beating, but people won't just be honest about it. So I'm an American, and it chagrins me to say, this is the land of the free when it comes to business people. Nowhere else in the world can you move people, money, and ideas faster and more efficiently without hassles than here. If you have that kind of freedom, the velocity of thought and velocity of transactions, and if every opportunity is like a batting average and an at-bat, you can have 20 meetings here in one day. There's something going on every night here. Try doing that in Beijing. Maybe 3 meetings, and you're in traffic for 4 or 5 hours, right? Okay, so I'll go back to the slide. So, this VC question, the thing that you're expecting to hear or someone's taught you, you have to be able to answer. It's the same question, which means it's neither, I don't think it's really social or tech. It's just a good question. You know, is it worth your time, and is it worth the time of the people that you're talking to? When we think of free markets, when we think about capitalism, are we thinking of this silly, outdated, oligarch notion, which is not capitalism at all? This is mercantilism. This is an oligopoly. This is not Hong Kong anyway, not for you and me. These are people who reflect today's free market. This is how much they spend on, quote, things social. Think about how many technology and branded and intellectual property assets these 3 guys own. Good news is for all of you, really, so there's heroes and zeros. I think there's huge potential for everyone here to be a hero. Good news is there's tons of big, bloated, walking dead zombie problems. Almost none of them are caused by the free market, by the way, so it's great. You can use the free market to your advantage. Let's look at some numbers. These are US dollars. 13 trillion, 15 trillion, 72 trillion. Anybody want to guess what those numbers represent? I think a couple of you have heard me talk about this before. Debt? No. Notional debt is actually bigger than that. There's actual debt, notional debt, right? That's a good guess. Anybody else?
Your asset.
My assets? Yes. Yes, thank you. $13 trillion is the global market size of the education sector. 15 trillion and growing at 7 to 9% a year is the global market size of quote-unquote healthcare. $72 trillion is the global world product. It's the global GDP. If you think of education, you're not productive, right? You're learning something to be productive. The vast majority of the healthcare money is spent on white people who are dying and no longer productive. It's just facts. I'm just making an objective observation. Which means that almost half, and the fastest growing segment of the world's economy, right? It's being invested in stuff that doesn't matter yet, or it's too late, right? The largest consumers of this are broke. All of the smart people in Silicon Valley are trying their very best to explode this right now. Education, healthcare, and maker stuff, and revolution stuff. Right? People haven't been investing in real deep social media, whatever, or coding for the sake of coding in the Valley for 5 years. Except the random, fly-by-night app, right? That stuff becomes $1 billion because there's 2 guys and you're really, really good timing and lucky. Unfortunately, a lot of people would say 11 trillion of the 13 trillion is either wasted or ineffective. A lot of people would say, and all of who's gone to school? Who's gone to school and not gone to class? Who's gone to school, not gone to class, and graduated anyway? So what did you pay for? You paid for the piece of paper. You paid for the privilege of being in a physical box with other people who can do the same thing as you can. Probably you did well because you're paranoid, or you're afraid of your parents, right? But it's the peer pressure, okay? Every honest research result when it comes to school or education, you think about these really excellent public schools in America, it's nothing to do with the quality of the education. It has security and peer pressure. and expectation management. 0. Okay? One of the highest performing chess clubs in the United States is in the Bronx, and they're all minorities. Okay, they're one of the highest ranking and most consistently performing chess teams in the nation. These are massive opportunities. And I'm not saying you have to take it all over at once. When you've got efficiencies in the single digits or at 10%, at 15%, we're talking like the collapse of the Soviet Union, okay? Because the army has nothing. When I think of a free market, when I think of markets, this is what I think of. These are not bad things, guys. One of the biggest challenges that I see, because we try to be very active, and we make tons of mistakes, and we make a lot of stupid mistakes, okay? We just try to learn from our lessons. One of the things I see consistently is there is a danger for people who do have a motivation to do things social, or to try to help or to address social problems, to slide into some sort of nirvana where you don't want to be held accountable, right? Where you don't want to be in the place where people want to measure what you've done. What has been your return on the investment? Okay. The other great thing about Hong Kong is it doesn't wait for anybody. Time is the most precious commodity. How much time do I have? Okay. Time is super precious. Talk about it. Okay? But that could be your enemy, that can be your friend. Since you're in Hong Kong, that should be an advantage. But if you think because you're an NGO, if you think because you're a church, if you think because you're an educator, government, professor, charity person, that time's going to wait, or the misery doesn't just continue to get past you, because many things that are problematic follow the same rules as compounded interest, right? Who knows what an IRR is? Who's had to take other people's money and invest it, and you return it, okay? Or who's putting money in a bank account? What kind of interest do you make here? 0.0001%? So they're obviously, they don't care about your time. But there's so much desperation to park that cash, you give it to them anyway. Which means that you're losing money every year because inflation is higher than 0.001%, right? In the venture world, in the fund management world, there's this thing called an implicit hurdle rate. Okay? Because you're taking risk, the investors will give the fund $1. The minute you pull that dollar down until you give it back, the fund makes no money on the first 8% per year. So if you take 100 years to return that money back, you've got 8% compounded by 100 years, which makes it a lot harder to make any money for yourself than if you were to flip a deal, right? 8% for 2 years, you 1.5x the deal, you're doing great. The other thing about free markets and about big movers in the market is when they move, they leave a wake. A lot of times the wake is a quote-unquote mess that they will pay for you to clean up. Tons of market opportunity. But really embrace the reality that if you want to be a social entrepreneur, you have to be 100% social and 100% entrepreneur. Right? You have to actually be at the top of your game because it's hard to do both. I love some of the other speakers who are talking about how hard it is just to do a startup. You're totally correct. I run a good-sized accelerator co-work space. Okay, one of the things that freaks me out is I'll come out of my office at 3 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, everyone's gone. Okay, I'll come back in after dinner at 9 and all the lights are off on some of our floors. Right? And these are floors that have got like 20 companies in them. And it's like, this is weird for me. Right? If you're in Mountain View right now, you've got some random startup, okay? Okay, the Vietnamese flow place on Castro Street is open 24 hours, okay? The coders go in at 4, they come back out. And it's like California's slow, but they value their time because they know who they're competing with. Markets also, as you all know, and as if you go to any mall in Hong Kong, right? Brands equal money, money equals brands, or people value brands. Social enterprise is a brand. As an entrepreneur and as a free market participant, you really, really have to embrace what that means, because brands can be good, right? Brands can be bad. Brands go up, they can go down, they can just be fake. And this whole notion of social entrepreneurism has gone through kind of a rough ride in Hong Kong for the past 10 years, right? Second point, what is this? I think this is awesome.
Chinese Google, largest search engine in China.
Okay, so just because it wasn't, just because that clean look wasn't his idea, does that make it a terrible company? Does that make it not unbelievably successful? Right. In the free market, unless you have the legal ability to stop you from copying me blatantly, it's legal for you to do it. Okay? One of the great things about not being in the United States is we can be second. And it's awesome to be second. I know it's hard for, are there any like dragon mommies? You can go out now, right? Right? It's awesome. It's so much easier when you're Samsung versus Apple. It's so much easier. See, I'm old enough to remember when the first HD TVs were massive 300-pound blocks of glass. This was one of Japan's first attempts to be first. Right? They did that for 10 years and they had to scrap the whole thing. It is really hard. Accept and embrace the reality that everything is derivative. Unless someone can legally stop you from taking what they've created, take it. It's legal. And say thank you and move on. Get to market faster, get to market somewhere else, okay, and move on. Because you know what? Someone else will see what you did and they'll take yours too, unless you can stop them. You have to challenge your assumptions, right? One of the other things I see about social entrepreneurism, and again, it's not a judgment call, it's an observation. These are two different businesses, okay? Unfortunately, maybe for me, but objectively, you are more likely to make a lot more money pretending to solve a problem. We know this because capitalists in pseudo-monopolistic oligarchies, industries, do a really good job. Is it cheap? Do you make more money with a cure for AIDS or a lifetime treatment for AIDS? Do you make more money curing cancer or a lifetime treatment for cancer? Right? Covering up symptoms and prolonging, right, your health dilemma. They're different businesses, guys. One of the things that we do when we look at social enterprises is I'm a distressed turnaround leverage buyout guy. That's what I learned to do. Okay. A lot of times when you have problems that affects, it's measurable in terms of a market price. Okay. So a distressed situation means that assets are by definition below market price. Hong Kong labor is a distressed asset, I would submit to you. Okay, all of you guys who went to university here in Hong Kong. Okay, email your buddies in Singapore and see what their starting salaries are like. They're not any better than you guys. Okay, but there's some fundamental market dynamic that's causing the spread. There is a market reason why the market value of that grad is where it is right now. It's not a judgment call, it's merely an observation in terms of distressed asset. Second thing, another great way for you to take free market opportunities. You don't have to invent the idea. Some of the best ideas, some of the best social innovations, some of the best private companies are those that borrow a phenomenal way of thinking or an application or idea from a different field that has some level of relevance to what you're trying to do. You know, you might have heard this, don't reinvent the wheel. Right? Maybe it just needs to be a different color or smaller or bigger, but fundamentally in terms of Euclidean physics, it has been solved. Just may not be, and this is a challenge especially for PhD people. Okay, people who have a lot of education. The more education you have, the more narrow your mindset becomes. So it's very hard to think outside of that deep, deep well of knowledge. So here, just I think I'm out of time. Here's some of the things that we've been supportive of. I don't know if you guys know this company, Hong Kong Recycles. It was started in Hong Kong Commons by one of our former employees, Brian Mack, who is now happily married and back in New York. Okay, these are examples of, you know, just being smart, being here in 2013, taking advantage of all free software, cheap software, using assets available in the startup and accelerator community. This is doing very well. Here's an example of a recycling. All their money, really, potential in Hong Kong will come from companies who leave a mess who would like someone else to pick it up. Right? It's much cheaper for them because of the overhead. No one willing to do it in-house. To get Hong Kong Recycles, pay them every month to take their cans, to take the stuff and get it recycled. Totally, there's a ton of interest. As I mentioned, Hong Kong labor is a distressed asset. So this is one of the companies we created, okay, requiring us to re-engineer the business model, okay, but taking advantage of social enterprise as a brand to offset our need to spend hard cash dollars or to pay a spokesperson to talk about what we're doing. Brand has value, has market value, which means either in terms of advertising, exposure, or the fact that we're trying to do something decent for our community, right? That we hopefully get a higher return customer rate or a referral rate. Another business that is related to the old apparel industry. Okay, we're the large, this is something that won Startup Arena in Singapore earlier this year. It was the only Hong Kong startup that was even admitted into the competition. And we love it because it's 100% Hong Kong, it's 100% traditional. We only recruit through the Department of Labor site, and there are mountains of merchandisers who are unemployed because that business left for China. They have a ton of experience in the starting tail of the supply chain still here, and it addresses a real and present retail problem everywhere else in the world. Last one, food. So I did this because my wife was paying way too much for crappy beef. So I thought surely we could I want an American steak this big for $3. That's it. And said, figure it out. Okay, so that's all I've got. I would just really challenge you guys to think big, understand how many strategic and tactical advantages you have here to make a million mistakes until you get it right. Right? And then go hard, go long. Thank you guys.
Thank you. So I guess there's already some questions that you want to ask the speakers. So may I invite David, Andrew, Ernest, and Felix just come out and let the audience to raise the questions. Okay, so let's grab the opportunities to ask meaningful questions. Anyone want to be the first one? Anyone?
Let's go. Who's hungry? Still too early.
Oh, good.
Why are you guys here and what are you planning to do? I mean, you're speaking, but what motivated you to come and do that?
Anyone you want to answer?
Well, I think, we are hosts, Cyberport, so I'm very glad to take advantage of this as a social for Cyberport, I think. I think Hong Kong is kind of lack of venue, lack of sponsor for a lot of startup events, so we try to, contribute on that part, as well as, we have startup program, we have funding, and I really encourage you, to really get hold of this. If I have the time, I really want to do my own startup, but I just, just don't have time. So I think today is really the good timing. I love the wind, the timing, and the feng shui is here. It's really in Hong Kong. So I think you all guys are in a perfect environment. Yeah. So
For me, it's quite simple. Everyone's so busy. You got 2 phones typing away. You were late. You missed our presentation. So for me is my business is really connect kids and parents and communicating. Being a parent is very hard. You know, even being here, my kid is at home doing her stuff, and I'm here. I wish she was here. She usually joins, but she's got stuff to do on her own. But the key is, running a business is hard. Balancing life, free market and everything else is nice, but money is everything. But for me, my dream is to really see balance between working, families, friends, etc. And I just want to get out the message is that being a social entrepreneur is basically you need to strike your own balance between your business as well, and that's what I want to get out of this present. So.
I think a lot of it is serendipity. I was at the startup weekend last weekend, and we were one of the supporting organizations and gave some stuff away. And I ran into Jeffrey, and you reminded me I didn't reply. So it's just good fortune and good timing. So I was lucky. But one of the reasons I was looking forward to coming was when we launched Bonham Strand, soft launch, end of April last year. We started off, we did it with a social enterprise summit. Because I think a lot of the words we use, and maybe it's because I'm a reformed attorney, but the words we use, people really don't understand what those words mean, which makes it very hard to be productive and to communicate. Because we can all be talking about social and technology or an entrepreneur or whatever, but sometimes if you don't start off with the same, unless we all agree and really understand what those words mean, we're all going to go off in different directions.
Well, I'm actually looking for the comment section, the pitching section, because I've seen many interesting topics.
So I think my situation is similar to Jong. I think I promised Jeff to be here last time, but I couldn't make it. So this time I need to be here, but actually I don't know too much about social entrepreneurship. So I'm actually here to learn. I'm actually here to share some of the things I've done before, as well as just knowing what the young social entrepreneurs would like to know and learn and want these days. So I'm looking forward to pitch as well. And everybody's kind. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Since you opened the door, a couple of you talked about being fathers and children alike. So, as you reflect as fathers and your children, what would the top 2 or 3 pieces of advice would you give for your children? Would you want them to be entrepreneurs? Would you want them to be social entrepreneurs? And how would you advise them to be good ones?
Father. Oh, crap. Because I was at my daughter's class this morning. I pay a teacher to teach her how to be an entrepreneur, but the teacher kind of ignored me to teach my daughter. It's kind of strange. But anyway. She's 13, okay, and I guess I'm always really don't like working for other people because I teach her to create your own dreams, follow your dreams, and do whatever you want that makes you happy. And sometimes we work for other people that has certain restrictions. I told her one is to be happy, number 2, create with an impact, and number 3 is to disrupt the world in a good way. Anyway, disrupting the world is not about disrupting, but make a big impact in this world that matters. So the 3 thing is learn as much as you can. We talked about, we were sitting with teachers yesterday, her junior high school teacher, and they said, school sucks. That's what the teacher tell my kid. But anyway, it's true. They say, you don't learn a lot of things in school unless you take those tools you learn in school and really open up the world in front of you. So, and the second thing is follow your dream, and number 3, be impactful in this world you're going to create, and make the people beside you, how do you say it, impact the lives that's around you. So that's more important, no matter if it's socially or financially or whatever, but make a good impact to the people and share everything that you have. So that's me. You have kids too.
Too young.
Well, I'll tell you for this morning.
I'm scared to see what my daughter's gonna be when she's 13, but she's 5 and my son is 7. My wife and I are both damaged byproducts of the legal system in New York City. And so unfortunately for my children, everything is a negotiation and it's Socratic. So they never get a straight answer. Everything is signed and documented. And so we do say things like, yeah, you can do whatever you want to do, but you've got to argue for it or back it up. Simple as that. You can think anything you want, say anything you want, but if you're going to make an assertion, you better back it up. And I think it's one of those fun things where, and I think all I care about is the process, and if that's how my daughter's able to think about everything, then whatever she ends up doing, I think she'll be okay.
We don't care about our son. You have it.
So I think Jong and I have the similarity here. I've got a daughter of 5, so I think I'm not a lawyer, so that's good, and she's not a lawyer, and there's no problem with that. Now, yeah, when it comes to answering that question, I think, first of all, I think coming from a very traditional Asian kind of Chinese culture, I think we all learn by books, so no failure, or we hide them, basically. So that kind of thing. So I think for me, I think it's first of all to reboot myself, reset my computer in my brain, so that I set the example by doing something that I think is going to be something different. So I think hopefully my daughter will learn, or at least kind of see it, and take it from there. So I don't know whether she's going to be an entrepreneur, or scientist, or artist, or just someone doing nothing. But I think as long as I set the example, then she pick it up and knows which how we go. I think that's how I see it.
Okay, does anyone have any questions?
My question is for Andrew. You were saying that when you started Leovation, it was a very new thing that people didn't know with the technology and things like that, and communicating the message of play. Did you feel like it was difficult to convince people of what you were doing with the technology and also with communicating the message of play in this very different culture?
Asian culture is very difficult. They think play is evil. Swearing is evil. I swear a lot too. So. Yes, at first it's very difficult, but because back then in 2005, my daughter is 5 years old. So perfect example. Just enrolled there. My wife's in PTA, so I kind of ask your friends and your teachers and whatever to come to our office, bring their kids, and I learn from them, basically. Truly. I do not know, because it's a technologies, I do not know how the technology would fit into this play space, and basically just put the devils in front of the screens, and basically I learn from these guys. And from there, the more I learn from the kids, to learn about how evil the parents are. It's true. The evil is the kids are the byproduct of parents. Is they just go stand in front of them and play. I mean, that's the Asian culture, right? So, and I just tell the parent to shut up, okay? And you're the one who's influencing the kids. So, in fact, that I consult a lot of parents as well at the same time. So teaching the kids, so the issue here is not the kids in Hong Kong. The issue is the parents. And I consult a lot of parents, and the kids turn out to be fabulous today. Some of them are like running tracks, that's breaking records, things like that. Because the parents just like lock them in the room and don't let him run. So the notion of play today, with people associate play with iPad and iPhones. But the thing is, these devices to keep the kids quiet, basically. They're not learning things. But for us, the space is really, again, we're trying to do it, but we're trying to connect the play, the space, not only with the parents, but with people around us, not only for brand, but also with grandparents as well. So it is very difficult. Even today is difficult. But the education space and the if we were to combine play and education in this bigger space, it's a tremendous business. I think it's a free enterprise. It's a huge business.
And it's a vacuum that's getting filled anyway.
And we are applying this same thing with the senior citizen space as well, because aging is a big space. And my grandparents are, sorry, they're dead, but back then when men grow old, they are kids. Okay, so are women, I think. I'm not sure yet. I mean that. So. But when we grow old, we became kids ourselves. Okay, we just brat. So it is a huge market in play, education, and healthcare. So which is all fit into your space, and that's where I'm going as well. So.
That's for me.
Yeah, so thank you so much for your great generation. Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, David. And your Ernest.